Welcome to another learning experience, I hope, with another think about it. Today we're going to talk about the word hypocrisy. It's a harsh word. It's a word with certain negative connotations, that's for sure. But it's also a word that's thrown around without fully understanding the meaning. And the reason it's important for me today is so many of God's people are called hypocrites, people of hypocrisy. They say one thing, do another. They're not perfect. They make mistakes. They're hypocrites. Wow. It's interesting because we want to look at what a hypocrite is and what hypocrisy is, so that your spirits aren't broken when someone calls you that as a child of God, simply because you may make a mistake or you may falter. Hypocrisy is defined as the practice, and that's key, the practice of claiming to have moral standards or beliefs to which one's own behavior does not conform. It's a pretense, all right? Now let's look at another definition of that, because it means to pretend to do something or pretend to be something that you aren't. It comes from a Greek word which means to play a role, to act on stage, to purposely deceive. A hypocrite is a person who practices hypocrisy. What they say is not what they do, all right? And once again, it means to pretend. It means to have an ulterior motive in your presentation. Now, the reason this is important, there are people who think that we as Christians are perfect, that we don't make mistakes, that we don't falter, but we do. But we have a true desire to live for Christ. That is legitimate, it's actual, it's not a pretense. It's what we're striving to do. But along the way, we do falter. Along the way, we do mess up. But there's a difference between pretending and faltering. Pretending is to purposely deceive you. I want you to think I'm a lover of God and a lover of people, but I'm not. But I'm a pretend to be. It's purposely being deceptive. Well, faltering is not purposely deceiving folk. It means that we fall short. For instance, let's say when you gave your life to Christ, you had 10 things wrong in your life. And of course, we've got millions, but you had 10. And you're really working hard on getting those corrected, but you still struggle with 2. And someone happens to see you falter in the 2 areas that you struggle with and know nothing about the other 8 that you've overcome. Well, that's not a hypocrite. That's not a pretense. That's not pretending. That's not deceiving. You actually are growing in Christ, but you still have some shortcomings. So just because you have faults doesn't mean that you're a hypocrite. And it's a word that we shouldn't just throw around simply because we know it. We shouldn't just throw hypocrisy around. We shouldn't call somebody a hypocrite just because you saw them mess up or falter in one area. If there's not an ulterior motive, a pretense to deceive, is that really a person who's a hypocrite? Because if it's about faltering or making mistakes, then we're all hypocrites. Now, if I pretend, if I practice as if I'm perfect, if that's my way of life, constantly faltering others because I see myself as perfect and I know I'm not, then that's an ulterior motive. That's a pretense of deception. But because I still have faults as a child of God, but I'm striving to live for him, but you happen to catch me on a bad day, do you think you have the right to call me a hypocrite? Think about it.